because I feel like it takes a special person to be on a fire department and be running in towards something that everyone else is running away from.
This morning, how the Sun Prairie community is honoring Corey Barr, killed in the line of duty in the Sun Prairie explosion.
And nearly a dozen streets are still blocked off with construction tape here, with caution tape here in downtown Sun Prairie, as we're getting a new view of this explosion site.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome back to News 3 This Morning. It is Thursday, July 12th. I'm Josh Breiter in for Danica this morning. We've got Chris in for Hattie, the bro show as we're calling it.
Have a lot of men here.
A lot of men here.
You know what, we're particularly concerned with our hair in light of the humidity. I know the ladies always make fun of me over this humidity.
Yeah, I know my hair is going to be a mess
crazy,
later on. I know.
Oh,
it's
you
just,
poor thing.
I know, all over the place. It is going to be humid later on. We're going to see those dew points going back into the upper 60s and low 70s, which means heat indices get all the way into the 90s. Oh yeah, alert days. Our friend AD, the alert day is back today and Friday for those heat indices. In fact, we do have heat advisories in effect for our western counties. It's going to be mainly along the Mississippi River Valley. That's where temperatures are already into the 70s in some places. La Crosse at 76 degrees at 6:01 this morning. It's going to be hot there. Their dew points are in the mid 60s as well. Now for us here in Madison, dew points in the 50s, so it still feels kind of good as you step outside. But oh my gosh, look as we go through the day, that spike right around 4 o'clock. I'm going to be inside. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to stay inside all day. We'll see those temperatures around that same time, topping out around 89 degrees, folks. So do expect another hot and July-like day. Traffic continues to run smoothly, so that is good news. Here's a live look on the Beltline at Todd Drive. No major issues or delays showing up yet this morning, not in Madison or across Dane County. But, of course, we do know that Highway 19 at Sun Prairie is still closed, and that's the only thing to report.
Along with a whole host of other streets in downtown
down
Sun
there.
Prairie. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate
My pleasure.
It is 2 minutes after the hour right now. Investigators in Sun Prairie say they're going to be on the scene of this week's fatal explosion for several days as they try to figure out what actually caused it.
This morning, a lot of the downtown area is still closed, and some people still aren't being allowed back in their homes. Our Christina Laurie is live in Sun Prairie with the very latest. Christina, good morning.
Good morning, Adam and Josh, rather. WE Energy says a majority of the natural gas here in Sun Prairie remains off this morning, 36 hours after that initial deadly explosion, and 6 since that explosion site sparked up again overnight. Until workers can confirm this area is 100% safe and there are no leaks, people are being kept out of their houses as a precaution. Overnight, firefighters were back at Tuesday night's explosion site, putting out a small fire at Glass Nickel Pizza. That fire started just before 11:30 last night. Dane County Dispatch tells us the fire took just a couple minutes for crews to put out, but first responders stayed out here for a couple hours as a precaution. The site is still smoldering, as you can see this morning. This is a new view. We were just let into this area for the first time. If you live in or drive through Sun Prairie, many streets around the downtown area are closed, taped off with this yellow caution tape or orange signs. We have a list of all road closures on our website, channel3000.com. Back to you, Adam and Josh.
Just an incredible sight there in Sun Prairie. All right, Christina Laurie reporting live. Christina, thank you. And if you're unfamiliar with that area, to get a sense of the tremendous impact of the explosion, a before and after look. Take a look at this. Pictures taken from the same location, one from Google Maps, the other from a viewer on the scene Tuesday night. You can see the absolute devastation there as the entire building is gone.
So those investigators we were talking about are looking through permitting records, other paperwork this morning to see which contractors were working in the area during that explosion. A spokesperson for WE Energies told News 3 it was a third-party contractor that hit that natural gas line and caused the explosion. But a Sun Prairie police lieutenant would not confirm that last night as the department launches what it's now calling a death investigation.
We're not going to release any information as it relates to the contractor, what work they're doing, who they were, whether we know them or not. We are in the beginning stages of a very, very active and very involved investigation. Until we get to that point, we figure out exactly what's going to happen to protect the integrity of that investigation. We're not going to release any information on that.
So you heard Christina talk a minute ago about that small flare-up last night at the Glass Nickel Pizza place. Now, until workers actually know that it's safe and there are no more gas leaks in that area, people are going to be kept out for now.
This morning, the Sun Prairie community is continuing to mourn the loss of firefighter Corey Barr. The city of Sun Prairie held a procession in honor of Corey Barr around 10:30 last night. Barr owned the Barr House in downtown Sun Prairie and was the captain of the Sun Prairie Volunteer Fire Department. His wife, Abby Barr, said he went to check on the gas leak near the business to help figure out what was going wrong, while other firefighters worked to evacuate people to safety. Barr was pronounced dead after being airlifted to the UW hospital. Corey Barr is being described as a husband, father, business owner, and hero by those remembering and honoring his life. Sun Prairie Fire Chief Christopher Garrison called him not just a firefighter, but a family friend and a family member and a friend. News 3 spoke with Barr's wife, Abby, yesterday.
He was especially, I don't want to use the word interested, but, wanting to make sure he was on that call because it obviously was affecting something else that meant so much to us, our bar. So he wanted to, he told me he was going down there. I asked him why, and he just looked like a kid in a candy store. Like, it's what I do, it's what I love.
Barr leaves behind his wife and twin 3-year-old daughters.
So if you want to help Corey Barr's family, there is an account set up at the Bank of Sun Prairie, or you can donate to the GoFundMe page you're looking at on the website. It's already raised now more than $98,000, almost $99,000 since it went live. Former Badger J.J. Watt donated $10,000 himself to this account yesterday afternoon. We have a link to GoFundMe pages for a number of the people in Sun Prairie who were impacted by that explosion. We have posted those on our website, channel3000.com. Of course, we'll share the latest updates on cleanup efforts, the status of the Sun Prairie firefighter still in the hospital, and his colleague who died in that explosion throughout the day on News 3 and on channel3000.com. Fitchburg police are looking for the man who reportedly fired a series of shots into a group of women last night around 10 o'clock. Now, nobody was hurt in that incident that happened near Marlboro Park on Thurston Lane in Fitchburg. A sergeant with the department says the suspect fired his gun after there had been some sort of a fight between that group of women. The suspect was in dreadlocks, possibly wearing a neck brace. Anybody with information is being asked to please call the Fitchburg Police Department.
6:07 this morning. Right now, all 8 Democratic candidates for governor are set to be in Milwaukee tonight for their first televised debate before the August primary. Tony Evers, Matt Flynn, Mike McCabe, Malin Mitchell, Josh Pade, Kelda Roys, Paul Soglin, and Kathleen Vinehout will be at UW Milwaukee to try to sway voters ahead of the election on August 14th. The winner will face Governor Walker, who is looking to become the second person in state history to be elected to a third 4-year term. The first hour of the debate will be televised live in Milwaukee. You can catch the whole thing streaming live on Milwaukee's public radio station, WUWM.com, at 6 o'clock tonight. We'll, of course, bring you updates on News 3 at 10 and over on channel3000.com.
Still ahead this morning, we're talking about a concern that many parents see a lot as their kids use social media. There's new research out this morning showing teenagers are at an increased risk for cyberbullying the longer they're online. Dr. Mara is here next with her thoughts on that topic.
Plus, the heat and humidity are slowly returning, and with that, the chance of storms across southern Wisconsin. A very hazy look out there this morning. Meteorologist Chris Reese is tracking it all, coming up next on News 3 this morning.
Good morning. Not too bad of a feel outside. Temperatures in the 60s, so it's warmer, but those dew points are low. The problem is they're going up today along with the temperatures. So once again, we have those alert days back for the heat and the humidity. That's today and for your Friday, feeling well into the 90s. In fact, we do have heat advisories, especially along the Mississippi River Valley and to the south and west. Let's go ahead and zoom in on those. That does include Grant, Richland, Crawford, and Vernon counties in our viewing area. That's going to go from noon today until 8 o'clock this afternoon and evening with those heat advisories, likely feeling well into the 90s, close to 100 degrees at times. That's where those dew points are all the way into the 60s already. 66 dew point in La Crosse and Viroqua. Here in Madison, we're keeping those dew points in the 50s, but that heavy air is not far away. Temperatures have risen over the past 24 hours. Black River Falls has seen an 18-degree temperature warmth change, or temperature warming over the past 24 hours. 8 degrees here in Madison. That's where it's 68 instead of 60 at this time yesterday. And like I mentioned, those dew points are in the 50s, yes, so it doesn't feel so bad. But those winds will be turning out of the south and southwest as we go throughout the day. And that means that the humidity will be coming up and that just heavy weight to the air will be on the increase. So will the heat indices. Temperature-wise, we'll top out right around 89 degrees into this afternoon. A lot of folks will get into the 90s, cooling off into the 70s later. Rain chances starting to move in from the north. We'll touch on those in just a moment. But here's the heat index map, just showing you where a lot of places could feel above 100 degrees or between 90 and 100 degrees, not just today, but into your Friday as well. We'll kind of see that same general story taking place. Here's that cold front. It's gradually working its way to the south. You're going to have waves of low pressure moving along it. That's going to mean increased rain chances at times and sometimes not so much in the way of rain chances. But that's going to linger through the weekend, keeping those rain chances with us. 72 to 83 degrees this morning. As we go into this afternoon, we'll top out right around 89. Again, those heat indices into the low and mid 90s, upper 90s for some of us. 87 will be the high for your Friday, with those rain chances really beginning to increase into the weekend. Those will linger through Monday before we get you towards next week. That's when those temperatures will come down a bit and it'll finally begin to feel good, with temperatures staying mainly in the 70s but topping out in the low 80s Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now let's go to Josh Tim with First Alert Traffic. Josh.
Yeah, quiet start on the Madison roadways. Even the Beltline is moving well so far. No crashes or delays heading east or westbound. Checking out Dane County, there are a few brake lights on Verona Road approaching the Beltline, and several roads still closed around downtown Sun Prairie, including Highway 19 in both directions between North Bristol Street and Highway N. No problems at all downtown Madison right now around the Capitol Square and UW campus. Volume is not a factor at this point. Other main routes heading into the city are cruising along at the posted speeds with no crashes or delays. Your First Alert Traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
All right, Josh and Chris, thanks so much. 6:14 is your time right now. Teaching your teen to drive is pretty nerve-wracking for most parents, and letting them go out on their own for the first time can be tough as well.
So there's new research out that shows why. This is an actual reason. The government data shows teenage drivers are 8 times more likely to be in a crash in the first 3 months after getting their license. Dr. Mandira Mehra from SSM Health is here with more on that government data. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
So it is. In full disclosure, my daughter is 11, so she's still a few years away. But this is. It's kind of intuitively what we knew, and yet to actually see it empirically proven is terrifying.
Of course, yep. And like you said, at some point, every parent's job becomes that permanent chauffeur.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I can't wait till they're independent and they drive, and then they start driving, and your insurance rates are going to skyrocket, your stress level is going to skyrocket, but for good reason. So this is a great study that showed that teenage drivers, while actually having their learner's permit and had some kind of guidance by their parents, did not really exhibit those risky behaviors, didn't really have those crashes or near crashes as much as when they actually started driving independently. Mm-hmm. When they started driving independently, all that good learning, all that good behavior when their parents were in the car kind of went out the window, unfortunately. So they were having more crashes, more near crashes, and riskier behavior.
And the fact is happening just in the first 3 months, too.
Yes.
So it's that initial kind of taste of freedom.
Exactly, the taste of freedom and then the lack of experience. It's like anything we do. It's that motor memory, that muscle memory that they don't have yet, so it's navigating a new machine. It's the excitement of driving. It's perhaps the impulse behavior control that they don't have yet. So what was also interesting was they exhibited riskier behavior in good driving conditions. So at nighttime, during the rain, things like that, they actually drove more cautiously. It was really like after school and the sun is shining. These were the times they actually felt they could drive a little bit riskier.
Fascinating.
All right, well, the other thing we want to touch on is cyberbullying,
Yes.
and it's an issue that's not going away, and new research is out saying that there's more of an increased risk for teens. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those things, social media, I think it's really taking off still.
Yeah, a lot of parents often ask me, Dr. Mara, do I really have to be concerned about cyberbullying? I mean, isn't bullying bad enough? What is cyberbullying? Can it really harm my child if it's through technology, if it's through phones? Unfortunately, this is becoming a very, very real phenomenon. And we do want to remind parents to really touch base with their teenagers. What this showed is that the longer teenagers spent on social media, on apps, on things like Facebook or Instagram, Snapchat, it was actually a study of 12,000 teenagers in Europe. More than 2 hours, they ended up having a greater association of cyberbullying. So one thing you can do is check in with your teenager and say, well, how long are you truly spending on these apps? Some people think it's just exposure to the social media that may cause that. But it's not just the exposure, it's also the time.
I'd imagine, too, it's the thing you don't have to look at somebody when you're posting something on.
Right.
It's a lot easier to bully somebody online than it is in person.
Of course, and so the American Academy of Pediatrics has some great guidelines, some great helpful tips for parents. Some of them are, of course, checking in with your teenager, checking in and seeing what they're doing on social media. All the studies show that the more involved the parents are, the more involved even older peers are, the less likely they are to be experiencing things like that. It's much easier for teenagers, for even us as adults, to cyberbully someone if you're anonymous. And so that's the difference between bullying face-to-face versus cyberbullying, is it's anonymous. The other scary thing is that it can spread very fast. So, you think of bullying as, oh, I was beat up at lunchtime. This is very different. This could be sharing an embarrassing picture, a video, something like that, and it spreads like wildfire. Your whole school knows about it. Definitely can have deleterious effects on the physical and mental health.
We want to help in this process as well. If you have any, if you want to have open conversations with your kids about cyberbullying, other mental health topics, through SSM Health, we've got resources and stories up on our Time to Talk page at channel3000.com/Time for Kids. Dr. Mara, good to see you as always.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. All right, this morning, Dane County voters may have the chance to voice their thoughts again about making recreational marijuana legal in Wisconsin, when you could expect to see the legislation on the ballot.
And it is going to be another sticky day today. You're going to notice that humidity coming back. Chris is going to let us know just how hot it's going to feel and when we could actually see some storms coming through when we get his first alert forecast next on News 3 this morning.
Good morning. We are tracking a hazy sunrise out there as the sun begins to rise above some of the cloud cover that we do have. Here's a live look of the WISC-TV camera, and you see the sun on the horizon, but you also see a lot of that cloud cover to the east. Not worried about any rain chances with that as of now. 68 degrees the temperature. Dew points also into the 50s. Temperatures are going to be taking off. We're going to see high right around 89 degrees this afternoon. Dew points are going to follow suit, spiking towards 71 into the afternoon. So it is going to be, once again, a just very hot and humid day out there, which is why we do have an alert day today for that heat and the humidity. There are actually some heat advisories back to the west along the Mississippi River. And we'll keep an alert day in your forecast Friday as well for the heat, but some storms will also be possible. Adam?
Thank you very much, Chris. The Dane County Board's debating tonight whether to ask voters if they want to legalize recreational marijuana here in the state of Wisconsin. Now, this would be an advisory referendum in November, meaning it does not hold any legal authority. Some supervisors, though, want to know what their neighbors think about the topic, about anybody over the age of 21 being able to have less than an ounce of marijuana. So basically regulating it like alcohol is regulated here in Wisconsin. State lawmakers are the ones with the responsibility on this issue, and the referendum's author says right now Wisconsin is not close to becoming the 10th state in this country to legalize recreational marijuana use. One county where voters will not be asked about legalizing marijuana is Walworth County. Janesville Gazette reports that county board killed a resolution to put the referendum on the November ballot. Critics of that ballot measure said there is not enough evidence just yet to show the impact of recreational marijuana on kids.
6:23 this morning, counselors in Madison will now face hefty fines that accumulate each day for practicing conversion therapy. That's a process meant to forcefully change a person's sexual orientation. The Common Council approved an ordinance to ban that practice this week. Under the new rules, anyone caught doing conversion therapy on minors could be fined up to $1,000 in the city, and each individual patient would represent a separate violation. This comes as there's new research showing Wisconsin kids who are transgender or gender nonconforming are struggling to get proper health care. 80% of respondents told the UW School of Medicine that they don't have a medical provider who is aware of their needs. The survey focused on people from 12 to 22 years old. 81% had health insurance, but only 38% had transition-related or gender nonconforming health insurance. One of the doctors on the study says that care is vital for children to develop into affirmed, thriving adults.
It is 24 minutes after the hour on this Thursday morning. We are still waiting to learn who caused that massive explosion in Sun Prairie that killed a firefighter and sent more than a dozen other people to the hospital.
Just ahead, News 3's Christina Laurie will join us live from the scene with the very latest on the investigation. The news is back in the morning right here on News 3 This Morning.
A widow and the city of Sun Prairie is remembering a hero, a father, and a firefighter who died saving others from a gas explosion. We'll share how you can help his family and others impacted here in a couple of minutes.
And the deadly Sun Prairie explosion site reignites overnight, prompting another call from first responders. We're live out here for a second morning with the latest.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning. 6:28 right now on this Thursday, July 12th. Josh is in for Danica this morning. Thank you for being with us.
You bet. Lots going on. We're sweating it up inside, and Chris is out on the patio sweating it out outside today. A lot of heat out there, Chris.
Yes, good morning, Bro Show. It is hot out here, but it feels good compared to what it'll feel like later on as we go through the rest of the day. If I had to choose a part of the day, this is it. But we do have an alert day in our forecast. That's today and your Friday. We'll see those heat indices going all the way into the low and mid 90s. Now, right now it's 68 degrees. The dew points are in the 50s, so it doesn't feel too bad. But those dew points are going to be spiking up into the upper 60s and low 70s as we go throughout the day. That's the point where it's just going to feel absolutely oppressive. This morning, 72 to 83 degrees in terms of our temperatures. By the afternoon, 89 degrees with that heat and humidity really beginning to take off. So enjoy this cool morning while you have the chance to do so. Live drive traffic shows you that the Beltline continues to move smoothly as of now. That's good news. No major issues or delays showing up. You've got a few brake lights popping up on Stoughton Road there between the Beltline and 151. Downtown, no major issues or delays. And so far, all your main highways are cruising along at their usual speeds.
Chris, it is almost 6:30 right now on this Thursday morning. Investigators in Sun Prairie are going to be on the scene of this week's fatal explosion there for the next several days as they try to figure out how it happened and take care of kind of hotspots still there right now.
Right now, a lot of that downtown area is still closed this morning, and some people are still not being allowed back inside their homes. Our Christina Laurie is live in Sun Prairie with the very latest. Christina, good morning to you.
Not by choice.
Good morning, Josh and Adam. Firefighters were back out at this deadly explosion site for more than 3 hours overnight, putting out a fire that rekindled at Glass Nickel Pizza and monitoring for the possibility of more. This is a new view of that explosion site. Dane County Dispatch says the fire overnight was small and took just a few minutes to put out shortly before midnight. But fire crews stayed out here for much longer than that, 3 hours in total, making sure the site didn't spark up again. This morning, WE Energy says a majority of the natural gas here in Sun Prairie remains off. 36 hours after that initial deadly explosion and just 6 since that explosion site sparked up again. It's a precaution until workers can confirm that this area is 100% safe and there are no leaks. Meantime, the explosion site is still smoldering this morning, as you can see. If you live in or drive through Sun Prairie, you'll notice many of the streets around downtown are closed, taped off with yellow caution tape, orange signs. We have a full list of road closures on our website, channel3000.com, and we're expecting to hear more from police later today.
Just looks like a war zone out there.
Yeah, like a bomb went off.
Very unfortunate. Christina Laurie reporting live. Christina, thank you. And if you're interested or unfamiliar with that area, to get a sense of the tremendous impact of the explosion, here's a before and after look. Pictures taken from the same location, one from Google Maps, the other from a viewer on the scene Tuesday night. You can see the devastation as the entire building there is gone.
So those investigators we were just talking about, they're looking through permitting records this morning, other paperwork to see what contractors were working in the area when this explosion happened. Spokesperson for WE Energies told News 3 it was a third-party contractor that hit that gas main, caused the explosion. However, a Sun Prairie police lieutenant would not confirm that last night as the department launches what it is now calling a death investigation.
This morning, the Sun Prairie community is continuing to mourn the loss of that firefighter, Corey Barr. The city of Sun Prairie held a procession in honor of Corey Barr around 10:30 last night. Barr owned the Barr House in downtown Sun Prairie and was the captain of the Sun Prairie Volunteer Fire Department. Abby Barr, his wife, said he went to check on the gas leak near the business to help figure out what was going on while other firefighters worked to evacuate people to safety. Barr was pronounced dead after being airlifted to the UW hospital. Corey Barr is being described as a husband, father, business owner, and hero by those remembering and honoring his life. Sun Prairie Fire Chief Christopher Garrison called him not just a firefighter, but a family member and a friend. Barr leaves behind his wife and twin 3-year-old daughters.
So those little daughters just turned 3 a couple of weeks ago. If you want to help Corey Barr's family, there is an account set up at the Bank of Sun Prairie, or you can donate to this GoFundMe page that you're seeing here on the screen. It's already raised now just over $99,000 since it went live. Former Badger J.J. Watt donated $10,000 himself yesterday afternoon. We have a link not just to this GoFundMe page, but all of the fundraising pages for a number of the people who are impacted by that Sun Prairie explosion. You can find it on our website, channel3000.com. And always, we will keep updating the cleanup efforts. The firefighter who is still in the hospital, we'll get the status on him a little bit later on today, hopefully, as well as funeral plans for Corey Barr. Always on News 3 throughout the day, as well as on channel3000.com.
6:33 this morning, a Wisconsin woman will be arraigned today in the Milwaukee area for locking her 3-year-old daughter in her car while she was fishing. This took place during the heat wave at the end of June. A neighbor heard 24-year-old Jessica Jorgensen's daughter crying and called police. When officers got there, the car door was locked and the little girl was reportedly flushed and sweaty. Jorgensen told officers she had been drinking and thought it was too early to wake her daughter, so she left her in the car. Her lawyer says she'll plead not guilty later today.
A retired priest will enter his plea to felony charges today, accusing him of sexually assaulting a child. 65-year-old William Nolan is going to be in Jefferson County Court to answer to 7 counts of felony second-degree sexual assault. Prosecutors say he assaulted a former altar boy hundreds of times over several years at his parish when he was ministering in Fort Atkinson. His arraignment is set for 8:30 this morning in Jefferson County. Now, Nolan also served Mass at Our Lady Queen of Peace in Madison for the last 4 years before those criminal charges were filed.
Right now, Janesville police are voicing their concern over a growing issue involving misconduct in public parks. The Janesville Gazette reports that 2 16-year-old teens were arrested after a homeless man told officers that 2 teens with BB guns shot at him and nearby lights in Volunteer Park on Tuesday. Police said that recently there have been a growing number of arrests among men who like to hang out in Volunteer and Firehouse parks. Police have been given the parks extra attention lately, making arrests for open intoxicants and fights. There's also been concern over littering and excessive foul language. The Janesville School District is waiting to hear if it will get the $380,000 safety grant it requested to protect its classrooms for a potential school shooter. The Attorney General's office has been giving millions of dollars to districts around the state for security upgrades over the last few weeks. The Janesville Gazette reports it's unclear when its district will hear if its request is approved. It's looking for money to pay for video cameras, radio amplifiers to improve communication, and additional entryways with better locks. State law allows for school districts can qualify for up to $20,000 per building. Still to come, the city of Madison is getting some help to redevelop the former Oscar Mayer plant.
And we will share how a number of military members are driving up from Chicago this morning, trading their uniforms for some painter overalls today to help a Madison senior citizen. We'll share why next on News 3 this morning.
And welcome back at 6:39. We've been asking you to share your morning with us, and we've got a beauty this morning. Check out that sunrise. This is from Linda Kruger. She posted that on Facebook. I feel like we've had some incredible sunrises lately.
It's been a beautiful stretch. I think Chris was counting like 5 straight days in Platteville. It has been a spectacular
It felt
sunrise.
like for the longest time we didn't see the sun, and now finally, but with it, here comes the heat and humidity coming back too. All right, well, thanks for sharing, Linda.
Yeah, we want to know what your morning looks like. You can take a picture, put it on our Facebook page, Instagram, or Twitter with that hashtag MyNews3Morning. That's how Josh, myself, Danica, and Leah, we all find our favorites and show them off every morning right here on the program. So News 3 is partnering with a local nonprofit called Today Not Tomorrow to throw a community baby shower to help parents here in Dane County. We are looking for diapers, wipes, formula, clothing, strollers, cribs, pretty much anything and everything you need to raise a kid. You can drop stuff off for the baby shower today and tomorrow at any Viridian Homes or Associated Physicians locations. You can also make a donation through PayPal. We have all of the details on our community baby shower posted over at channel3000.com.
And to now probably our favorite story of the morning, 15 Navy members are trading their uniforms for some painter's overalls to help a Madison woman freshen up her home. 92-year-old Jean Buchanan lives alone right now after her late husband, who served in the Navy, passed away. Navy volunteers are partnering with Habitat for Humanity's home repair program to give Jean's home a fresh splash of paint. Habitat for Humanity says she plans to share her husband's story with the volunteers and bake them some treats too.
I believe our colleague Jamie Perez is going to be going there later on this morning to actually get video of this. Should be very cool.
I love positive stories.
Thanks to all of these folks for their service.
Yeah, you bet.
So,
all right, well, the heat and humidity are returning, and with it, a chance of storms. Here's a live look outside right now. Chris is calling it an alert day, and coming up next on News 3 this morning, he'll have more on just how hot it's going to feel later today. We're going to be sweating it out.
We will be. First, though, please let us know if you have a little kid turning 3 soon so we can show their picture on TV and celebrate their birthday here on News 3 this morning. Hazy morning there, courtesy of the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville. It's going to be an alert day today because of the heat and humidity. Going to feel like it's in the upper 90s this afternoon. We will get Chris's forecast here in a minute. First, though, a decked-out shipping container is making its way across the country this summer to get kids thinking about science. It is called the Curiosity Cube, and it's stopping in Madison this afternoon. The mobile science lab has been driven around the country since February, connecting kids with interactive experiments from learning how DNA works to building custom bacteria models with a 3D printer. It's going to be at Hawthorne Elementary School from noon to 4 before going to the Mallards game from 4:30 to 8 tomorrow night.
And now Chris joins us with more on that heat and humidity. It is July, Chris.
It is July, and I'll have to tell you what, science is a pretty cool thing. Well, I hope kids are interested in weather in some sort of capacity, but I'll tell you what. From July 5th to today, we've had no rain. This is the longest dry stretch since May 23rd through the 29th. In fact, the last time we went 8 days without any kind of rain was back in April, right after a snowstorm, surely enough, April 19th through the 26th. Now, in March, we went 12 days without rain. I don't think we'll make it that long this time. Already, we've got some rain across the North Woods this morning. This is pushing to the south and east. I don't think we'll see any major impacts from that today, but we do have rain chances in our forecast. 68 degrees if you're preparing to head out the door. Dew points in the upper 50s, so it feels fairly good. Out to the west, that's where temperatures are much warmer. La Crosse at 76 degrees this morning. Dew points are also higher in the west, in the mid-60s, upper 50s for us, but that humidity is really getting ready to work its way on into town. We have a southerly wind component getting back into south central Wisconsin. That's going to turn southwesterly through the day. So all of these high dew points across the nation's heartland will eventually be filtered into America's Dairyland. So it's going to get pretty humid later on. We'll see those dew points increasing into the upper 60s, right around 71. So the low 70s. Yeah, it's just going to be that oppressive kind of air as you step out. In fact, back to the west, they do have heat advisories already. That includes Richland County, Grant County, Crawford County, and Vernon County in our viewing area. That's going to go from 12 o'clock today until 8 o'clock later on this afternoon. Here's heat index as we go throughout the day. We could see a lot of places feeling like the mid 90s to 100, if not more out west. We're going to repeat this process as we go into Friday as well. Once again, feeling like 100, if not more. So we'll see if any additional heat advisories get added to the map for us here in south central Wisconsin. But nonetheless, it will be fairly warm, and that's the reason for those alert days. Now, in terms of rain chances, they've been slow, but we do have better rain chances coming into the picture as we get you into the weekend. We just have to wait for this heat and humidity to get out of here first. But it's going to take a minute. It's going to take you till next week before we get this heat and humidity. But the rain will provide some relief from that heat and humidity in the meantime as it comes on down. Now, by next week, not only do we get rid of the rain, we do get rid of the true heat and the humidity, and we'll see those temperatures coming back down into the upper 70s and 80s for those highs. Now, your pet walk, here's Ruby in Westport.
That's the right idea.
And yeah, she knows what's going on. She is thinking what we are all thinking after that forecast.
I think at 3 o'clock, Ruby's in the water. That's what I thought. Ruby's not in the boat anymore.
She ain't going to stay in that boat.
In the water. All right. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Stay with us. The Morning Sprint is up next right here on News 3 This Morning. 6:51 right now, time for the morning sprint. It's an alert day for heat and humidity. Meteorologist Chris Reese has your first alert forecast just ahead.
And Christina Laurie's live in Sun Prairie, where firefighters had to put out another fire at a downtown business overnight at the site of Tuesday's fatal explosion. Investigators, meanwhile, are looking through permitting requests, other city paperwork this morning to see which contractors were working in the area during the explosion. A spokesperson for WE Energies told News 3 it was a third-party contractor that hit that gas line and caused the explosion. However, a Sun Prairie police lieutenant would not confirm that last night as the department launches what it's now calling a death investigation.
The deadly explosion site in Sun Prairie is still smoldering this morning, more than 36 hours after that initial explosion and 7 after it sparked up again overnight. Dane County Dispatch tells us that call came in just before 11:30 of a small fire at Glass Nickel Pizza. Crews were able to put out the flames in just a few minutes, but stayed out here for 3 hours monitoring the possibility of more. The explosion site continues to smolder this morning, and about a dozen area streets remain closed.
Sina, this morning, the Sun Prairie community is continuing to mourn the loss of firefighter Corey Barr. Barr owned the Barr House in downtown Sun Prairie and was the captain of the Sun Prairie Volunteer Fire Department. His wife, Abby, said he went to check on the gas leak near the business to help figure out what was wrong while other firefighters worked to evacuate people and get him to safety. Barr leaves behind his wife and twin 3-year-old daughters. Right now, we've got a link to the family's GoFundMe page if you'd like to help. It has already raised more than $99,000. That at channel3000.com.
A Columbia County judge will decide today if there's enough evidence to send an Indiana truck driver to trial for running into a school bus on the interstate. Wayne Murphy is facing multiple felony charges in connection with that crash that happened on I-39 near Lodi in May. 26 Milwaukee area 8th graders were hurt as their school went to the Dells to celebrate their graduation. We'll share an update on that story later this morning on channel3000.com.
The 19-year-old accused of killing one person and critically injuring another in a crash on Midvale Boulevard is expected to enter a plea to his charges today. Benjamin Cortez is being charged with 7 felonies, including second-degree reckless homicide. Blood tests reportedly showed Cortez had drugs in his system at the time of the crash. It killed 72-year-old Greg Namitz and critically injured his 68-year-old wife, Patty.
Staying in court now, retired priest William Nolan's going to be in Jefferson County Court today to answer 7 counts of felony second-degree sexual assault. Prosecutors say he assaulted a former altar boy hundreds of times over several years at his parish in Fort Atkinson. His arraignment set for 8:30 this morning. Nolan also served Mass at Our Lady Queen of Peace in Madison for the past 4 years before those criminal charges were filed.
We are tracking the heat and the humidity once again. In fact, today is an alert day for that heat and humidity, as is Friday. We'll see a lot of sunshine out there eventually. We'll top out right around 89 degrees, getting those clouds out of here into the afternoon. That heat index, though, is back, and it's going to be going all the way up into the mid-90s.
Happening now, Fitchburg police are looking for the man who reportedly fired a series of shots into a group of women around 10 last night. Nobody was hurt in the shooting that happened near Marlboro Park on Thurston Lane. A Fitchburg sergeant says the suspect fired his gun after some sort of fight between that group of women. That suspect was in dreadlocks and possibly wearing a neck brace. Anyone with information is being asked to call the Fitchburg Police Department.
President Trump says the United States' commitment to NATO remains strong this morning, despite its other members not paying enough, in his view, toward their own safety. NATO was formed after World War II to protect Europe against the former Soviet Union. Right now, only 5 of NATO's 29 members are paying those required security fees to the organization. The president goes to London tonight to meet with British Prime Minister Theresa May and to have tea with Queen Elizabeth.
Happening tonight, all 8 Democratic candidates for governor will be at UW-Milwaukee for their first televised debate before the August primary. The winner will face Governor Walker, who is looking to become the second person in state history to be elected to a third 4-year term. That is at 6 o'clock tonight. We'll bring you updates on News 3 at 10 and, of course, on channel3000.com.
City of Madison's getting some help to redevelop the former Oscar Mayer site. The Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation is giving the city $500,000 to help pay for infrastructure work at the site, including gas and electricity to each building. The entire $1.8 million redevelopment is expected to be done in 2025. At least one business has already relocated into Oscar Mayer's former headquarters building.
The UW-Madison Union Council is considering whether it should remove the name markers above the Porter Butts Gallery and the Frederick March Play Circle. Both men had connections to a group with the Klan name back in the early 1900s. Both names have been covered up since May. The council is holding a public forum tonight at 5 o'clock at the Union. A final decision is expected by the end of this year.
Voters in Walworth County this fall will share their thoughts on closing a state loophole they say is making their property taxes go up. County board approved a referendum for the November ballot to ask voters about so-called dark store loopholes. That's a provision in state law that allows big box stores like Lowe's, Walmart, Best Buy to pay property taxes comparable to similar sized buildings that are vacant or dark.
Happening tonight, the Dane County Board is debating whether to ask voters if they want to legalize recreational marijuana in Wisconsin. This would be an advisory referendum in November, meaning it doesn't hold any legal authority. There's the realization from the referendum's author that Wisconsin isn't close to becoming the 10th state to legalize cannabis use.
6:56 right now. Let's get a final check on your First Alert traffic this morning with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Still moving well on the Beltline. No delays popping up east or westbound right now, although as usual, we can expect the westbound Beltline to continue to get busier over the next hour or so. Inbound John Olin beginning to tap the brakes near the Rimrock and Olin Avenue intersections. That's moving into the downtown area. But other main routes heading into the city are cruising along at the posted speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your First Alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.
All right, current temperatures right now 69 degrees. We do have a little bit of cloud cover out there. Dew points, though, are in the 50s. We'll get rid of some of that cloud cover into the afternoon. The heat index is going to be the big picture, likely feeling like 100 degrees or so today. And tomorrow, we do have rain chances in the picture as well. That comes in as we get into Friday and Saturday.
Already fanning myself. It's going to be a hot one. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.